Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Wake up, Link.
Hello everyone, I am Nintendo LPR Z-Dude, and I'm here with my review of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Nintendo Wii U. Let's get into the first section, gameplay. The gameplay is vastly different from that of previous games in the series. Nintendo really wanted to break the conventions of previous Zelda games, and I believe they have achieved that with this title. For starters, you will find a lot of weapons in this game that you can acquire and use to defeat any enemy. Weapon durability is an issue I see many people have, and it is one I have a slight issue with, but this mechanic works well with this game, since you will be doing a lot of exploring and this game is packed with weapons, so you never feel underpowered. It really does help one feel like they have grown stronger during their adventure, while still keeping the game challenging. A lot has been made about the open world of Hyrule, and it's every bit as expansive as you've heard. From the moment you leave the starting area, the Great Plateau, you begin to meet travelers from all over Hyrule. From Hylians to Gorons and everything in between. They all have interesting dialogue. Take this one for instance. If you stand on one side of the bridge leading into the dueling peaks, while a certain NPC is walking by, he will try to talk you out of jumping off of it, aka stop you from committing suicide. Another instance, if you return to the Great Plateau after becoming stronger, you will notice that one of the red bokoblins in each of the encampments there has been replaced by a white one. This keeps the tension high and really makes Hyrule feel like a living, breathing world. Stealth also has a large presence in the gameplay of this game, and you can decide whether or not you want to be stealthy when you want to. You will often come across enemy encampments from time to time, and you can sneak up on the enemies in the encampments, and if you do that successfully, then you could hit them with a sneak strike, which deals more damage than if you attacked them when they notice you are there. You can also sneak up on animals such as birds, boars, deers, bears, etc., which makes hunting for meat in this game a lot easier than just running up to the animal and trying to hit it with your weapon. HP recovery also has been tweaked in this installment of the Legend of Zelda series. You will not find any hearts in the grass or pots or anywhere in this game. Instead, you will have to find various ingredients in the overworld and cook them up to get more health. Certain recipes will give you different buffs, which makes this game seem more like a survival game than your standard Zelda game. The sound of cooking in this game is really enjoyable, which will bring us to the next section of this review. Alright, now let's go to music. Zelda has always had great music, but Breath of the Wild soundtrack is something special. When it wants you to feel an emotion, you feel it. Whether it's a blood-pumping sound of being targeted by a guardian, and the tranquil sounds of gazing over the landscape from a cliff, the music really does help the world and the game as a whole feel that much more alive and expansive. Take the remix, a bonus song that is heard when you are around a stable, or the Song of Time you can hear very faintly being played by piano in the background when you're walking around the Temple of Time on the Great Plateau, or even the calming natural sounds of the animals moving around, or even the clopping of the horse's hooves when they are moving around. The audio in the game really does bring one into the world the game is trying to create. Let's get to the art style, everybody. The graphics in this game really are something else. Gone are the flat textures with the grass, and in replacement we have grass that looks alive and moves with the wind. while Link and the other characters still look a bit cel-shaded, though not to the extent they did in Wind Waker, it still retains a living appearance, and each of the characters express emotion in an enjoyable way. The art style helps the scenery seem more alive. I find myself just looking out at the distance a lot and saying, "Holy crap, that sunset looks glorious," or "That mountain looks beautiful under the sunrise." The world is really great, and the way the graphics really do make this look like a living, breathing world, with a ton of personality and charm. The art style even helps bring the animals in the game alive. I just love how the birds fly in a V formation when you see them flying in the sky. It isn't something the developers didn't have to do, but it is something they did do. Or even the movement of the NPCs, enemies, and allies. The whooshing effect when a movement is done with a weapon is really quite nice.
Warning! Spoilers are ahead. If you want to remain unspoiled as to the bosses, dungeons, and the final boss especially, then please go to the time on screen right now.
Time for us to get to the bosses and dungeons section of this review. Now that the spoiler warning is out of the way, let's get started, shall we? The bosses in this game are each enjoyable in their own way. I never found any of them too challenging, but not too easy either. Even after I got the Master Sword, I couldn't just hit them 3 or 4 times and then be done with them. I had to still work on getting to hit each of them. None of them really had any defined personalities, but then again, in my opinion, bosses weren't meant to have personalities since they just appeared once and that was it. You could also fight any of the bosses in any order and complete any of the dungeons in any order as well. You could also head straight to Calamity Ganon if you wanted to, but you'll get your ass kicked. But you could do it. Breath of the Wild doesn't really have dungeons, at least not in the way Zelda games traditionally have dungeons. Instead, there are 4 divine beasts you must rearrange by either tilting the wings in the case of the Va Meadow dungeon, or, in the case of the divine beast Va Rudania, change how it's facing the volcano. Each of them will leave you scratching your heads for a while at the puzzles that lead you to the terminals, and then from there, you fight each of the bosses. I really did find the darkness in the beginning of the Goron Divine Beast really hard to deal with, but the entire air-based mechanic of the Rito Divine Beast quite easy and simple to figure out. The final boss though, Calamity Ganon, that is one boss battle that let me down. The only voice acting in the cutscene was Zelda, and each of the champions that you rescued from the Ganon incarnations, besides for a few roars, Ganon doesn't really get any personality. I do wish he got some lines like he had in other Zelda games. The fight, though, was a challenge. I found myself using the abilities of the champions a lot, even after I got the Master Sword and I took him on. The Master Sword didn't do much damage to him, but it just made the battle that much more enjoyable. Click here to see me take on the final boss in this video I uploaded. And then the second half of the video has you the battle has you riding on a horse trying to defeat the malice that he is made up of, and hitting it with arrows of light to the glowing points that appear when Zelda holds back the malice within Ganon. This part wasn't as difficult once I figured out what to do. Time for the conclusion of this entire review. In conclusion, my score for Breath of the Wild is I really liked it. I know it is out on the Switch as well, but I wasn't able to get a Switch, so I got the game on the Wii U instead. The game so far is really fun, and I have so many hours logged into the game right now. And I am still finding new things in Hyrule, and I can tell you that I will be playing this for years to come, and still learning new things about this version of Hyrule. If you have $65 lying around and you have a Wii U, or perhaps a Nintendo Switch, then I would highly recommend this game. There are a few frame rate drops here and there, but they are the exception rather than the rule. Thanks for watching my review of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Wii U home console. Be sure to click on screen for the playlists and other videos, and also I'd like to thank DuraTheDoof for help on the commentary. Thanks. Bye guys.